Hello there. So I think you guys are going to be pretty excited for this one. You can see we've got the hood up and the trunk open because we are talking battery relocation today. I'm going to walk you through everything that I did to get the battery out of the engine bay and back in the trunk. That's right. We got a whole heap of space up front now because the battery is gone. We moved that all the way to the back here. Check this out. Just mounted right down in the wheel well for the spare tire, nice and low in the back. So we got all that weight transferred out here, and then we've got all the extra space up front. It's kind of a business in the front, party in the back situation, if you know what I mean. Or is the engine the party, or is that the business end? I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Is it the reverse mullet or the mullet? But before we get into all that, this thing is absolutely filthy. I mean, ugh. That's disgusting. I'm sick of working on a dirty car, so I think now that we've got the juice back hooked up to this thing, the electrical power, and we can run this and drive it, I think we got to take it for a quick spin, hit the car wash, get all this surface dirt off, just so it's nicer to look at, nicer to work on. And then we can get back into the details of doing battery relocation. Yeah. Almost forgot to take the mic off. That would have been crazy. Finally, clean car. Whew. Oh, there goes all the tape. Really not gonna like the blowers. There it goes. Clearly it doesn't always work out too well. The high pressure water and the air dryer. Yeah, it's just blue painter's tape. Doesn't stick very well. That's much better. We got a clean car. We got our sonic refreshment. Let's talk battery relocation. So first things first, why did I do this? Well, we needed some extra room in the engine bay because we are going turbo on this 5-cylinder here. And that is going to leave me perfect room right there to put the intake, the filter, everything to feed the turbo with the air. That's the main reason for doing it. There's a couple other benefits. Obviously, you get all that big heavy battery out of the engine bay, move it to the back, get a little bit better weight transfer, especially on these front wheel drive vehicles. And then it just makes it easier to adjust the shifter cables and bleed the clutch and do all that stuff because you don't have to take the battery out every time to get to it. So there's a few benefits, but the main reason was we're going turbo. We need to make room for in the intake. So starting in the back, this is where the battery now lives. I wanted it as far back in the vehicle and down as low as possible to make the most use of that weight that we just have to have, because I'm not spending $700+ on a lithium battery. So we're making the weight work for us, but it is down in the spare tire wheel well. Now this works for me because race car and the car is gutted. If you're still running a spare tire or something, you might be up on the ledge here. But down as low and as far back as possible for me. And that is where it's sitting with the gutted race car interior. And before we get into all the materials that I've used for this, I will leave links down in the description below. They are Amazon links, they are affiliate links. So if you do end up buying something, it does help the channel out, helps me improve the race car and make more videos like this for you guys. But I will leave links to everything that I used and everything that maybe I wish I used instead. This was a learning experience for me. So some mistakes were made, but we'll go through all the parts and give you the full rundown of how to make this work. The obvious first step is we need a way to secure the battery, right? You don't want this thing, you don't want it rolling around and, you know, becoming a grenade if something were to happen. You got to have it secured. You can't just set it back there. So I found this battery tray on Amazon. It is basically designed to mount to like a trailer frame rail using these big beefy bolts this way, and then it just kind of hangs off of the frame rail. I used riv nuts, put riv nuts in the bottom, secured it to the base down in the spare tire well, cut these bolts down. It does a really good job of holding the battery. The bottom side, I made some bracing, so the bottom side is braced really well. That way it's not going to pull out if I were to get in an accident or something were to happen. It is very secure. It is not going anywhere. It is very braced on the bottom side, and this battery is very secure in this little cage here, this little box. And then it's pretty adjustable. You just got these bolts here, which I still need to cut down because I definitely don't need that much length. But you just got this frame rail here that secures with bolts there on the side, and it secures it in. It's pretty simple, but it works. Now I want to talk about the actual wire. This is where I didn't get it right the first time, and kind of had to go back to the drawing board mid setup. But what you want to use is, or at least what I'm using gauge wise, is single aught, so 1-0, and it's a heavy duty welding cable. That's what you want to use. Make sure it's rated for welding wire. That's pure copper, high strand count. It's going to flow the current the best. It's just what you want to use. And I did use single aught. You might be able to get away with like 2 gauge. I went with single aught. That's not where I screwed up though. Where I screwed up was I didn't order enough wire. So the first pack I ordered was 10 feet of black, 10 feet of red. I was like, 10 feet of red, that should be enough to get it to the front. It wasn't. I ended up ordering a second spool of red positive welding cable, single aught, that was 15 feet long. And that was just enough to go from my fuse all the way up to my post up front. And I'll show you that in just a second here. So negative first. Your negative is pretty easy. You just got to go from the battery to a chassis ground. You want to make it as short as possible. Instead of me doing like a riv nut or doing something here where I had to maybe possibly get on the backside and try to hold a nut to secure the wire, I used this pre-existing hole right here on the side. Just put some washers there, ground down the paint, use some dielectric grease to just kind of seal it so it's not going to rust right away. And that's the negative cable there. That's the easy one. The positive one gets a little bit more complicated, although it's not too bad. So you do want to run an inline fuse. This is a 200 amp breaker right here. So this will pop at 200 amps. If something were to short out or cause any issues, this is going to pop. And then you've got the shortest positive cable here that's going to be running power. It's going to kill power all along the cable and all the way to the front. So you definitely want to run something like this in line. Now, in the future, I may have to run an external switch. So I might have to reroute this to one that's external, maybe mounted to the deck lid or something, so you can turn it on and off from outside the car. Because right now, obviously, the trunk has to be open, or I've got to crawl through the crawl space if this does pop. Because the trunk on this setup, at least, is electronic. And if you notice, there's nowhere to put a key to open it manually. I can crawl through and do the manual release from the inside, but externally, there's no way to open the trunk other than using the switch up front on the control panel on the driver's door. So that might need to change in the future. If you are racing, depending on what program you're racing with, SCCA, NASA, they're probably going to take your car, and this probably wouldn't pass. I run with Pro Auto, so they're a little bit more lenient. This will be fine for now, but in the future, I may have to change that and run it to an external switch. But for now, this is what I'm using, and it's been pretty solid. Been driving the car. It's been doing its job. Haven't popped a breaker yet, so I think we got it in good, and I think we're doing all right. But you want your positive from the battery to your breaker to be as short as possible, and then this long run here, this is that 15-foot cable I was saying. This goes all the way up front into the engine bay. And you might be saying, why do these cables look different? This is that second spool that I ordered. It's from a different company. They're both single-aught pure copper welding wire. There's a little bit thicker outer sheathing on this set here. This was out of the 10-foot pack, so it matches the negative cable here. But this is that 15-foot. I think it's just a little thinner sheathing, but it's all rated single-aught pure copper welding wire. So for the run to the front, it goes from the breaker here all the way. I ran it over the hoop for the rear tire, and then we'll get up there and show you how it's run. But I did secure it with zip ties all along the way, and anywhere that I thought it would be on maybe a sharper corner where vibrations and stuff might wear through it, I did wrap it with some wire wrap here. That's just to give it a little added protection. But I did that all the way up. Certain areas I wrapped it, and then it's zip tied and secured and out of the way, so it's not going to get kicked or bumped or anything like that, all the way up to the front. And this is where having a gutted interior is nice. This is kind of why I just said screw it and ripped out all the carpet and stuff, because I was going to have to pull it all back to run this cable because I wanted it nice and concealed. But you can see it goes over the rear tire here, down through this little factory plastic loom, and then under this brace all the way up front. Garbage trucks are loud. Anyways, I just got it secured all along the way, and it's tucked up and out of the way. I left a little bit of slack around where the belt goes. That way, if I need to take the lower belt off, I've got slack there, and I can just get around it. Just continue up that channel all the way up to where it goes through the firewall. So there's a grommet there, which it's easier to see from the engine bay. That's actually the same grommet that I ran all of my wiring for my gauges. So my oil pressure, oil temp, water temp, boost gauge, air fuel ratio gauge, the wires all go through that same grommet, and that just tucks up nice and out of the way. This cable is out of the way. I'm not going to kick it with my feet. Nothing's going to grab it. It's nice, secured, and safely run. And you can see more of that wire wrap here, just where it comes out from under here, because there's another edge, just for safety. You know, want to keep it from running through and causing an issue. Now, running it through the car on the interior, that's the easy part, especially since I am now basically a gutted interior and I've got nothing in the way. I've got free range to move it where I want. That's the easy part. We get into the engine bay. It's a little bit more complicated just because you got to run it through the firewall. But on these VWs here, there's a really easy way to do it. I'm going to show you that. I do my best with the lighting to get back under there. This is also another great incentive to get the battery out of the engine bay, because all of this right here is blocked when the battery is in here. So if you are running wiring for, say, gauges or anything like that, it's just a lot easier to access. You don't have to pull the battery out every time you need to go through the firewall. But this is my positive post. So I just drilled and put some riv nuts here, and this is my post. So the wire comes from the battery all the way in the back through the firewall, feeds this post, and then you can tap off of this post for everything else. So I did create my wire here, new one for the starter, and then I just cut back the one going to the fuse box here, put a end on it, and everything from that post, that's where all the positive is feeding. And then obviously the chassis is the ground, so your ground's feeding from all that. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to get the camera in here, but you can see where that positive is coming out right there through that grommet. That grommet is just there. All you got to do is basically punch a little hole in it. There's a couple little nipples on it that I was able to punch just for the gauge wiring, which made it easy because it was nice and small. The wire would fit right through, and then it was still mostly sealed. I had to cut obviously a little bigger hole for this positive, but it's plenty big. There's a ton of room, and it's still mostly sealed up, so it's still doing its job. Nice soft rubber grommet. It's not gonna wear out the sheathing on the cable or anything. It's going to be nice and protected. And then that cable just runs along this channel. I routed it through there, and then you've got the post right there. So that is the 15-foot cable. I did not cut that wire at all. So if you notice, this is the main cable here. There's a little hoop right here, and then it goes all the way back to that fuse block in the back. And that's a full 15 feet. So if you're doing this and you want to order one thing of wiring, I would probably order 20 feet, and then you'll have that extra little bit to work with to make your positive cable for your starter, make that extra little cable from the battery to the fuse block. Obviously, that's going to be dependent on where your placement is for everything. But for me, 15 feet was perfect to go from my positive post up here to the fuse block. I did use that other wire from the 10-foot pack for the starter here, from the battery to the fuse block, and then obviously the black cable for the ground. So this really isn't that complicated of a process. You just do want to make sure you do it right. Make sure your battery is super secure. You don't want to get into an incident, have that thing rip out of its mounting points, and just, you know, become a wrecking ball flying through the cabin. Mine's really secured in the back. Make sure you're using the good cable. You don't want it to deteriorate over time and then have to rerun it. Do it right the first time, then you won't have to worry about it. Make sure you order enough cable. I didn't, so I had to buy multiple things of cable, but I was able to get away with one 15-foot run and then a little extra from that other pack. So I would probably order at least 20 feet of red cable. For your ground, you really don't need that much, just because you're going directly from the battery to the chassis. You don't have to run it all the way to the front. But using that post up front was super nice, because you can just run power to that and then pull power for whatever is up front that you need power for. Starter, fuse box, all that stuff. You've got one post that you can just pull power from. It's really pretty simple. Yeah, I'm totally glad I did it. A lot more room up here, and we got that weight in the back. And garbage trucks are still loud. Holy moly. Sheesh. I need to learn to film not on garbage pickup day. Then you guys wouldn't have to listen to that. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. We got the battery in the back now. We got an inline fuse running the positive cable all the way up front to the engine bay. If you guys don't have like a riv nut gun or a riv nut tool, these things are game changers when you're doing fabrication work like this. I've got the 200 amp fuse block riv nutted to the side there. I used riv nuts to secure the battery box, and then obviously I put that nice big bracing underneath it so it can't pull out. Use riv nuts up here for the positive battery post. So yeah, get a riv nut tool. But if you guys are looking to relocate your battery to the trunk, and you know, it's easier for me because it's a race car and it's gutted, no interior, all that stuff. So I've pretty much got free roam, free play in there. But you guys can get creative, get that battery, get that weight to the back, and free up all this space up front. I guess we should probably make mention of some of the tools that you're going to need to get this job done. And yes, I'm wearing a different shirt. It is a different day. I was editing this video and kind of realized I didn't talk about tools that much. So here we are. All right, so we got a few tools laid out on the bench here. This is the riv nut gun that I use. I did kind of mention this earlier. This one just happens to come with all the dies for metric, standard, with bags of riv nuts for every single size. So this is a full kit. It's from Vivor. It's a full kit. It's got you covered with the riv nuts, the dies, anything that you need. This isn't a requirement, but it makes any kind of fabrication work super easy because you can add threads wherever you need threads to mount anything. That battery, that power distribution post that I mounted in the engine bay, mounting the battery cage in the back, it made life super easy. Just drill a hole, put a riv nut in, and you got threads so you can put bolts in there. And on that battery post, or the battery cage in the back, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but when I mounted it, I did get some grade 10 hardware. So it's got grade 10 hardware going through, and then it's braced on the bottom side. Just an afterthought now that I'm filming more. But you will also need a crimping tool. So you've got these terminals here that you're gonna have to put on the end of your wires, and you're gonna want a good crimping tool to do that. I got this kit here, comes with all your dies from real itty bitty all the way up to double aught here. I've got the single aughts in here. It's a hydraulic tool, So it works just like a hydraulic floor jack. You just pump the handle, it's going to close, and then when it gets tight, it's really just going to crimp that terminal on there and really grab the wire and make it a nice solid connection. This thing has worked really well. This kit also does come with a nice set of wire cutters here. So I use this to strip the wires and cut them, and you can see it's got that nice kind of rounded blade on it. So instead of getting like a flat cut on the wire and kind of smushing it up, gets a really nice clean cut on the wire there. Nice and sharp, really gets the job done. You are going to need something like this. And then for the heat shrink, obviously you're going to need a heat gun or a torch or something, because you're going to have this heat shrink tubing there to go over the connection just to protect it and keep it covered so you're not shorting anything out. One honorable mention, if you do have a good soldering iron, this is the soldering station I have from doing all the RC car stuff for the last, ever since I was a kid. But good soldering iron, if you do get to a point where you can actually just solder these on, if you don't want to crimp them on. But crimping is a really good way to go. Nice solid connection. You can solder them on too though. But that's kind of the basics there. It doesn't take really any specialty tools other than maybe the crimper here, rib nut gun if you don't have it. But just basic hand tools obviously after that, and you can get this job done with ease. So yeah, little overview of the tools that I used to get this job done. Other than that, links to everything are down below. If you got any questions, please leave a comment down below. You guys know I answer comments. I do my best to help you guys out. I feel like I hit everything in the video, but obviously there's always questions. So everything I used, everything I wish I would have used maybe the first time around, links down below. Leave a comment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. 5-cylinder Volkswagen, and we are going turbo. This is all prep work for getting that turbo in here. So I'm super excited about that. That is coming. Probably going to tackle some of the cooling next. Driving around NA with that cooling, make sure everything's good, no leaks before we start tearing into it and putting that turbo on. So definitely make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button on this video. It just tells YouTube's algorithm that it's a good video and it pushes it out to more people. So do that. Have a nice day. Pet a dog. Live your life to the fullest. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. And yeah, do all the good things. Live a good life. I'll see you in the next one. All right. I'm done talking. Bye.